And once again, thank you everyone who's being here for us because um, it's just such a wonderful thing for us to join together on a regular basis. This is like AA, yeah, Course in Miracles Anonymous. All right, Zulma Gonzalez, this mic is all yours, my friend.
Hey, thankful Thursday to each and every only one of us. It's only one of us. It's only one of us expressing as our individuals, only one of us. Um, hey. So, um, I'm gonna jump right in um, primarily because the very first slide that I want to show is, I'm going to hit my share screen since someone mentioned um, the importance of us getting together. Hey, is this one? Hey, look at there. So, hanging out with my Karen, and I met Lori. We met Lori. We had such a good time. And time was moving so quickly. It was moving just a little too quickly. And um, we had a good time. We had a good time. We talked about everything and nothing at the same time. We we of course we had to bring the course in, the course. Um, but we had a wonderful time, and I am so grateful. I'm bringing the screen down. Grateful, Lori and Karen, to have had the opportunity to hang out with you guys on Monday. Looking forward to doing it again. Sharon mentioned something about going to New York. I thought that was a plan. I don't know what happened. Um, I would love to see Dub again. And Sharon also mentioned the Be the Love uh, uh, gatherings. I had the privilege of doing that one year. Met Regina and John Mundy, and that's not when I met. I don't think that's the one where I met Dub and Lynn, or maybe it was. I don't know. Anyway, um, but yeah, the get-togethers are wonderful, and this is a non-anonymous. It's a non-anonymous group where we get to um, we get to recognize what we are and appreciate who we are in the what. I am grateful. And so it was with Lori and my Karen um, on Monday. I'm still grooving from that one. Still having a good time from it. I've told anybody who'll listen, yeah, you know, um, and I love how this happens, how these get-togethers when they occur. Shut up, Karen. I love how these get-togethers happen that you know from everywhere. Karen had made a way for me to meet. We hung out with a different ACIM group a couple of years ago, and um, it was a great time. I'm going to come to Altoona to meet Sharon. I'm coming to Altoona.
Oh, come here. I
I've
have a
been there
room
before. I've
downstairs.
been there before in 1978.
Well, if everybody wants
I
to
was
come in
in
this area,
Altoona.
we
I was
we
in
could.
Altoona. No. Complain not. Complain not. Nope. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. I was in Altoona. I know it's small. I don't care if it's so small, but I was there when there was a family, the Hoffman family. My friend Jerry Hoffman. I was actually there for his service. Um, anyway, that was 1970, October of 78. I was there once. I'm willing to go there again, just to give you a hug, if nothing else, and figure out how we can get to New York. And Lord knows, I want to go to Colorado. I want to go to Colorado because it's not just Lynn, who I've already met. That's you know, but Regis is there, so listen. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it. Lovable has a great sitter. Lovable has a great sitter. So, all right, let's get into it. That was fun. That was fun. All right, so we know that We are talking about A Course in Miracles. Let's go back one slide. Oops, I went up 2 slides. Go the wrong way. What's happening here? Something's happening here. I have no idea what just happened. My whole screen just appeared. My whole screen disappeared. Let's see. Go back. 1, 2. Go back. All right. Here we go. All right. All of a sudden, I couldn't see you. I couldn't see me. I couldn't see anything. Everything disappeared. We are talking about A Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind, and other metaphysical teachings. I'd like to say hello to everyone in the room: Dove, Lori, Lynn, Karen, Sharon. I'd like to say hello to Katia, who I know is listening offline. She does that. Mickey, my love. There's I see iPhone. I won't assume. I want to think share, but I'm not sure. Welcome. So glad you're here. And I heard Sharon say, and I'm going to reiterate it, we are here to do this together. So if at any point in time anything sounds good to you or doesn't sound good to you, I share. Hello. Anything sound good or doesn't sound good, by all means, raise your hand and please join me in this, because I am going to hang in here till 11 o'clock, unless, of course, Karen decides that she wants to. Well, we already had that conversation. At any point in time, please feel free to, what they say, raise your hand in the air and like you just don't care, that kind of thing. Just do that. Feel free to do that. I'm going to skip over the picture that we just saw and remind ourselves, as always, to mind your mind. We should daily train, daily. We should daily train our thought to recognize the spirit in everything we do, say, or think. We should daily train our thought to recognize the spirit in everything we do, say, or think. And even though these metaphysical teachings are not about behavior, but that's what we're going to talk about today. Metaphysical teachings of any kind, be it the Course or whatever, are not about behavior. They are instructions in how to train our minds, but training is a behavior. So you know what I'm saying? But it's really all about training our thoughts, training our thinking, training our lives. Dr. Ernest says that to learn how to live, to learn how to think is to learn how to live. I can't appreciate anything. I can't enjoy anything unless and until I learn how to think in an enjoyable way, in an appreciative way. The Course reminds us that only appreciation is an appropriate response. And a response, again, is a form of behavior. Here we go. We should daily train our thoughts to recognize the spirit in everything we do, say, or think. Everything. How easy is it? Not for me, because I don't use profanity on a regular basis, but for those who do, no judgment, I'm just saying. And here's the word I'm going to use instead. How easy is it for some to look at television and hear what someone is saying and say, "Oh, that butthole." Or it doesn't have to be on television. You know, somebody you're driving, and somebody crosses you, and you think, "Stupid." We should daily train our thought to recognize the spirit in everything, we do, in everything we say, and in everything we think. And that would require, as the Course teaches, being in the habit of engaging with God. Develop a habit of engaging with God, no matter what. That's God. That's God. In fact, we were talking about that Monday. On Monday, I said every now and then I have to stop and just say, "Oh, that's God. That's God. That's God." So instead of saying butthole, I think, "Oh, that's God. I need that because it's in that moment. It's in that moment that I have to remember that I am the peace and I have to extend the peace. That's the only way I can do it. This is a course in mind training. Because there's no other way. All learning involves attention. All learning involves attention, attention, attention. Train our thoughts. Attention, attention, attention. Engage with God. Attention, attention, attention. This is a course in mind training. These are courses in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level. And I'm not talking about the fact that I can quote passages from the course. Yeah, I can. I mean, I've been studying since 1992. If and some people have been studying longer than that and can't quote a bit. That's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. But the fact that I can, it doesn't matter that I can quote a passage or passages, or I can tell you what workbook lesson is such a, it doesn't matter if I'm not utilizing it, if I'm not practicing it. I am here to be I am here to be truly helpful. And I cannot be truly helpful if I don't practice, practice, practice. I can't take talk about the speck in your eye unless and until I get the doggone plank, this great big old thing out of my own eye. Practice, practice, practice. And my greatest teachers are the things that I let irritate me the most. But we'll talk about that. The question becomes, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? To learn, an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. Practice, practice, practice. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. According to my what do you see on the screen? Somebody tell me what they see on the screen. Somebody please tell me what they see. Somebody.
The quotes that start with "We should daily train our thought"
Thank you. Thank you, Mickey.
and ends with Christian Larson.
Gotcha. Thank you. Because I see that I've hit share, but the way I'm seeing the screen, it's unusual for me. Okay. So yes, thank you. And again, if we want to live our best life, we have to think our best thoughts. We can say, oh, and something this happened to me, and we keep telling that same old raggedy story. It's a raggedy story. It's old and it's decrepit. They tell that old raggedy story about the stuff that happened to me. And since if I'm not gonna tell you about what happened, well, let me tell you what's happening. And I believe it was Sharon who said, I believe it was Sharon that said that it's not happening in truth. It's happening in the matrix. Somebody said that. Somebody said that.
I did.
Yeah,
I
I heard that. That grabbed me. That grabbed me. Thank you very much. And the reason why that grabbed me is because on Monday, when I was talking with Lori and Sharon, Karen, I made a comment about, we talk about something that's never happened. And I said, I don't understand that. I've been studying 30 years and I don't understand that, 30 plus years. I don't understand that. You can't tell me that it didn't happen. It happened. Oh yeah, it did. The thing is, it's just not happening now. But for you to say, Sharon, it's happening in the matrix. It happened in the matrix. And I can remember it in the matrix. I can give you some of the details. I can tell you the date that something occurred and but the course says it never happened. And it doesn't matter how many times I read that, I'm like, yeah, it happened. The key is it happened when it happened, and it's not happening now. For me to give it power now, that's the illusion. That's the fantasy. That's what keeps me from being in peace. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. Christian D. Larson in his book Thinking for Results, which I think is just a fantastic book, by the way. It's a small book. It's the one I have has every bit of 39, 40 pages. 40 pages. Small book, Thinking for Results. And I think you can find it as a PDF online. This is one of the first people that Ernest Holmes read that kind of changed his direction with this philosophy where science of mind came to be as as a philosophy and as a faith and a way of life. Yeah, Karen, go ahead, love.
Yeah, Zulma, just real quick before you keep going, I want to comment on what you just shared about that it never happened. And I agree with you. It's not happening now. And that is the key. But the only thing I will add to that is where, the course says the only thing that never happened is the separation never happened. Separation never happened. That's what I believe the course is talking about by saying it never happened. So I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
Thank you. That's a great insight. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a great insight. Yeah. And separate. Yeah. I mean, clearly, what is there to separate from? How can I separate myself from life? That just it doesn't even make sense. You can't separate yourself from life. Even what we call physical death is not separation from life, because Einstein, that's the guy. That's the guy. For those who don't want to do quote quote religion, and for those who don't want to do quote quote spirituality, those who believe that those don't believe in that, that we are spirit. For those who don't believe that, they do believe in science, most of them. And Albert Einstein, he said it never born, can't die. Dove asked the question earlier about uh, the Big Bang. If there was such a thing as a Big Bang, what did it? What created the Big Bang? What caused the Big Bang to happen? I call it God, life, energy. I don't care what word you use. I don't think God even cares. Life doesn't care. Life doesn't say, "Oh, don't call me life. Call me something else." No, no, no. No, it doesn't care. Acknowledging it, just acknowledging it that it is. We can't deny it. We cannot deny that truth. All right. All right. Um, Christian Larson says that we naturally become master over all life when we can understand and master the process of thinking. Daily train our thoughts. All learning involves attention and study. An untrained mind can accomplish nothing. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. All right. And I do this every week, and every week I have to. I have to. I'm teaching a class. We're in week 3 of 5. And it's called the mental equivalent. And I'll say something about that earlier. And um one of the things we talked about was the importance of the repetition, repetition, repetition. Why is it that when I get to the end of the course, end of the workbook lessons in December, in January, I turn right back around and go back to lesson 1, and I have to admit, every single time I do the lessons, and I'm sure it's not just me, every time I'm reading through the lesson, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God! Because when the student is ready when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and I keep gaining more and more and more, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for some of the things that people say to me about me based on what they have seen or experienced or felt, and the love, the outpouring of love from me to them, from them to me. That wasn't always there, but it's been gradual and gradual and gradual. And somebody, early on, if somebody, paid me a compliment, oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I'm, that's so sweet of them. And now it's like the only I is the I am, being one with the I am, being that the I am is, that I am here to be truly helpful. I am responsible for what I think. I am as God created me. That's the I am today. That's the I am today. And it wasn't always that way. It's just keep going back over and over and over. And I'll read. I'm in couple different study groups, and higher up in one and then the other, and when I get a chance I tune in here, and different places in the course, and I'm reading. It's like I'm reading it for the first time every time, and so it should be. Not only what I read, but how I see my brother every time I see whomever. I the goal is to let go of how I saw it yesterday, because it didn't mean anything. Okay, lesson one. I gave it value yesterday, but I can value it differently today. That's how I moved from hatred to love. That's how it happened. I moved from one place, from one belief system to another, and then what was a belief became a knowing. The knowing became love, and the love continued to grow, and it spread and expanded, and my mother, and you all know that story. I'm not going to tell it again, but I would if you asked me. Because I love telling this story. In and of itself, it's the miracle. The miracle is that change in perception, is that, and it comes with willingness. Willingness. We have to be willing. We can't just expect, well, if I just keep reading this, it's like the person who, goes into a hypnotist's office to stop using nicotine. Nicotine users who go to a hypnotist's office, they have the pack of cigarettes in their pocket. And they go to a hypnotist because they want to stop smoking, and then they do the whatever it is that they hypnotize them, and then they leave, and they say, and they grab a cigarette to test to see if the hypnosis works. And of course they say it didn't work, because they really were not willing to stop using the nicotine. People, we're not, I'll speak myself. Sometimes I'm not willing to accept the truth. Sometimes I'm not willing to remember that I am one with God. Sometimes I forget. And that's what the Course says, that the sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember, not being willing to remember. We naturally become master over all life when we can understand and master the process of thinking. The Course talks about mastery too, based on that same thing. And it doesn't start with being ready, just because I'm ready. Three frogs on the log. One decided to jump off. How many frogs on the log? Still three, because the decision to jump, it wasn't actually jumping. And there we go. All right, let's move on. So today we're talking about what we're doing. Today, we know that, we say that this is not a course in doing. But what we do comes from what we think, and we are thinking. We're thinking all the time. And because the mind doesn't stop, the mind never stops, the idea of doing something doesn't stop either. And that's why we forget that we think that we are human. We think that we are human beings. Actually, we're human doings. We just point that up, that we are human doings, but we are spiritual beings. Because to be has permanence. To be is to exist. That being is spirit, and doing is in form, is the physical. So we are human doings. And what we do comes from what we think. What we do comes from what we think. Ernest Holmes, I'm going to expand a little bit more later. What you see comes from what you do not see. And the way the Course says it, we believe in what we see. If I choose to see, everything as blue, then there's no way I can be convinced until I'm ready that it's not blue, that it's yellow. I'm not, because that's the way I choose to see it, because I've given that the meaning that it has for me. I've made it blue, and it doesn't matter what you say, it's just blue. And based on me seeing it blue, I'm gonna act, oh God, everything is so blue, blue, blue. And I'm not, I'm not trying to make blue a bad color, but you know what I mean. That, we talk about things being blue and things being sad and things being awful and things being scary and all these words that we keep using over and over and over again. Instead of looking at it and seeing that it is the matrix. It's the matrix. What could you not accept if you but knew that all things, everything, every single thing, everything that has ever been, that is, that will be, was it is what it is. It's life, lifing. It's God being God and me being part of it, not part of it, being it in form. It is nothing out here is happening to me. And please feel free to take the me and make it you if you want to. Nothing out here is happening to me. It's happening through me. It's happening by me. It's happening as me. And I don't like a lot of the stuff that's going on. Some of this stuff I let hurt. Some of this stuff in form hurts. In form, it hurts. That was a discussion when I arrived at the restaurant with the ladies on Monday, and they were talking about form stuff. And I said, yeah, we're at that age. That's what we talk about. It's what we do because it's what doings do. It's what human doings do. But the focus becomes what we're thinking, because it's only in the thinking, which then leads to feeling, that we can find a sense of peace regardless of what's happening in form. So the question still is, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because here it comes. Every response you make, everything you do, is determined by what you think you are. And if you think you're a body, you're going to act like a body. You're going to pray for the physical pain to stop. Oh, oh. Do you think that the body is simply going to stop hurting? The body is going to listen? Is the body listening? Where is it coming from? Where's the healing coming from? Where is the stoppage of pain? If it may occur in the body, but where is it coming from? It's not coming from the body itself, and that's hard. That's so hard. I'm thinking about people that are born with stuff. I've heard people that are born with stuff, or people who are having experiences right now as we speak, some serious experiences, what we would consider grave experiences. And I can't say, oh no, no, it ain't real. It ain't real. I can't tell you your pain is real. First of all, that may not be my experience, but I guarantee you, my left big toe, right in front of my left big toe, they tell me I have arthritis there, and it looks like a bunion, but on top of the toe. I'll be doggone, that thing hurts. It physically hurts. So, and there are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing. So, my arthritis on my big toe, and that's not the only thing I can, give the list, but because I'm at that age, that's what we do. The fact that I can't say, oh no, I don't feel that. Oh, I can't say that's not happening. And I can't say I'm not going to go to the doctor because it's not happening. It's not real. It's in the matrix. The doctor's in the matrix too. So I'm not going to go do anything about it. That's a doggone lie. I'm going. Oh yeah, I'm going. I'm going. Ernest Holmes, talks about the prayer and the pill. The prayer and the pill. In the Bible, we talk about physicians. Before there was a Bible, there were physicians. Imhotep, was actually the first physician. But there have always been physicians. We have been given not only, in the course, it talks about, we're not given a situation without so-called problem, without the solution already being there. The problem's already solved, but we're given this ability to grab some mud and put some whatever little saliva on it. I don't know, back in the day, put a little saliva on it and put it on a sting or a bite or something, and the poison came out. but I'm not going to say, oh no, okay, you got bitten, but that's only the Matrix. Just let it be. That would be, first of all, totally insensitive. And there are people who do it. I'm sure you've come across some people who do it. They'll tell you it's not real, and you're giving it more. Sometimes a doctor gives it more. It could be a heavier dose of something, or something. So let's be real here. Let's recognize, though, that fortunately it's temporary. Now, I don't know how long temporary is. I said I don't want to live to be somebody. They want to live to be 120. I say, oh heck, no, I don't want that. Personally, I don't want that. No, I don't. If some of the physical pains that I'm having right now are going to continue to and get worse as I get, no, I don't want that. Because I like being pleasant, I like laughing, I like being in joy. I I like getting invited to stuff. I like getting invited to stuff. I can't get invited to stuff if I'm always complaining. Oh, I love this. Dove wrote in the chat, and this is before I came on. Death is not the end of everything, but the beginning of something, from Pope Francis. And I have to admit, I can't help but become tearful every time. I've had a chance to. I've been watching the news and that. And I get tearful. And I can't remember ever being so attached. And I don't really like that word. Connected is a better word. As long as I've lived, and I go back to Pope John the 23rd, if anybody, can go back with me. And I was in Catholic school. I was, actually doing that whole thing. So, but I have never felt so connected. This gentleman said things that we believe, that we teach. That he talked about that we're all just people, that we're all worthy of love, all of us, regardless of what we do, regardless of what our belief system is, regardless of how we identify. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And okay, so all right. That's all for that. That's all that. I'll let that be. Every response I make is determined by what I think I am, and what I want to be is what I think I am. So my thing these days is about being consistent and staying focused on tasks. I'm learning with this so-called neurodivergent brain that I call accepting divine healing daily. Some others call it ADHD. I am focusing on focusing. How about that? I am focusing on focusing. I am focusing on not moving into the sleep of forgetfulness. I am focusing on being in the habit of engaging. I am so that in conjunction with becoming and being acting in an organized way. So I require some structure that I didn't have before. And I am, and it is what I want. It is what I think I am. It's already there. It has to be, because it's there. It's there. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. This universe, God, it was created with order and structure. And I'm that. So I have to draw from that and remember that and focus on that and pay attention to that and give it and daily think on that and work on mastering that. Every response I make is determined by what I think I am, and what I want to be is what I think I am. And another reason that I look at that, there is no want to be. That's future based. Now that I'm reading that way, I'm saying, oh, that's just talking to the ego, letting the ego think that there's a future. What I want to be is what I think I am, because I am now. There is no want to be. There is an am. I am now. I am organized today. I am focused today. FOCUS. Follow one course until successful. I didn't make that up. I love it. I'll repeat it. Follow one course until successful. But I am that. And the more I focus on it, the more in the present I focus on it, the more I am able to accomplish it, because it continues with what you want to be. What I want to be must determine every response I make. It goes hand in hand. Thought, feeling, behavior. Thought, feeling, behavior. Thought, feeling, behavior. Oh, here we go. All from the course. What you do attests to what you believe. What I do attests to what I believe. If I say, although it can get a little confusing, because right on the other side it says behavior is not the level for either teaching or learning, since you can act in accordance with what you do not believe. Let me come over to the quote before that. You can choose to do conflicting things, either simultaneously or successively, not successfully. Not to be confused. Successively, I can do it at the same time, or one thing right behind the other. The course calls that not doing, what is it? Not knowing what you do. Not knowing what you do. That's actually from the Bible, but the course calls it not knowing what you do. And in the Bible, it's written when in the story of Jesus on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And that should be no shoulding. That is a good prayer. A good prayer in the moments when I feel myself losing peace. Feel free to insert the word I to yourself if you want to. When I feel myself losing peace about something that someone is doing, that they're acting in a way that I think is wrong, that doesn't match my should, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And sometimes I could be judging and not know not what I do. Forgive myself, for I know not what I do. You can choose to do conflicting things, and this produces conflicted behavior. Again, what you do comes from what you think. What you do comes from what you think, which means you have to be thinking in a conflicting way. And it goes on. Behavior, then, is not the level for either teaching or learning, because you can act in accordance with what you do not believe. That's I know, people who are telling their children, don't lie, because whatever, and they lie. And I'm not talking about the Santa Claus thing. I'm not talking about the, little thing, I have a surprise. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about outright lie. And the reason why people lie is because they're afraid. Period. Period. I know. I used to be afraid all the time. I used to be afraid all the time. That was a way of life for me. Being afraid was a way of life. And I've chosen integrity today. But anyway, and that choice, I take a deep breath and speak the truth as I believe it. And it doesn't always look good in my favor. The person may not always think well of me as I say it. When I talk about, even now, when I say, yo, yeah, I was diagnosed with, my brain's been diagnosed with ADHD. I tell it out loud. I say it out loud. I went to a gathering of former coworkers on Tuesday. This has just been a busy week. I think I'm going out today too, to dinner. Uh, Gathering of former coworkers and current coworkers. We do this 3 or 4 times a year. We get together. And I saw a supervisor of mine I had not seen since 2004. Anyway, um, it used to be when I was working that people would tease me, Zulma, do you know where your keys are? Where are your keys, Zulma? Zulma, where's your phone? Because one of the ways that I would exhibit accepting divine healing daily ADHD was that I was always misplacing things. And Karen and Lori, if you remember, I had a phone wallet. I had a phone what do you call it? Crossbody. That was keeping, so my phone was constantly with me. I had a crossbody thing. They sell that now. You actually put it in a holder just for the phone to keep track of those things. But I've learned anyway. Behavior, I said all that to say is that I happened to mention very intentionally that I had been diagnosed with this, and there were a couple of people like, oh, that explains, and suddenly it was not funny anymore that I used to lose my keys or that I was misplacing my phone. It wasn't, the joke just disappeared. Being in integrity, being willing to tell that truth. Everybody wasn't going to accept that. There are going to be some, that's not my point. That has nothing to do with me. Here we go. Behavior is not the level for either teaching or learning, since you can act in accordance with what you do not believe. To do this, however, will weaken you as a teacher and a learner, because you teach what you do believe. You teach what you do believe. So if I'm telling that child, don't lie, and then that child catches me in a lie, I certainly can't expect, it's not my place to get angry with the child because later on they lied to me when it's something that I taught. Okay, it goes on. How you perceive at any time determines what you do. From the book by Phil Boisier, Thriving with Adult ADHD, Skills to Strengthen Executive Functioning, he says, do regular check-ins with yourself. We do lessons every day, or some of us do. Do regular check-ins with yourself, and regular could be, he says, on a weekly basis, ask yourself what's going well and what's not going well. That is, who did you cuss at? Who did you let yourself get super angry with? How did you hurt yourself with your anger this week? Or who did you bless? What made you smile? And how did you share that? In what ways did you choose to be truly helpful? Ask yourself what's going on well and what's not going well, and create a plan to improve where needed. Simple as that. I could see it differently. But there's some who sometimes will quote mess up. There are no mistakes in God. Who sometimes do things in a way that's conflicting, and keep on doing it, like the person who goes back to using the nicotine. I'll just have one cigarette. And then one turned into a pack that turned into 3. Slip ups and fallbacks, Boisier says, are not the problem. It's what you do when you are faced with them. So I'll say it has been discussed here that we would not talk about certain subjects. And some people find a way to slip it in there. Oh, it might just be a sentence or two, and then they keep on going. But it was, slip ups and fallbacks are not the problem. It's what you do when you are faced with them. If you slip, stumble, or fall, get back up and move forward. Simple. Don't keep going. Don't smoke the next cigarette. No, no, no. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Don't continue to tell yourself that you're not this or you shouldn't that or you know that this is awful and it's getting worse. Don't keep doing that. Don't do that. Do only this. Get back up and move forward. Get back up. Think think what brings peace. Think, remember that you are one with God. That you are that. We're talking about what you're doing. From Penn and Kim Holderness in their book, ADHD is Awesome. If you don't see a problem with your behavior, there's a low chance you'll go to the trouble of trying to change it. Now, if you don't see a problem with your behavior, that also means you don't see a problem with feeling bad. You don't see a problem with thinking the kind of thoughts that are simply hurting. You don't see it. The individual who seemingly every time you turn around, someone else doesn't want to talk to them. Someone else is telling them to go away. Someone else is saying they can't be trusted. Someone else that keeps happening, and they continue to blame someone else. The question, as Karen just wrote in the chat, do you prefer to be right or happy? Do you want to be right or happy? I'm telling you, I know an individual, unfortunately, who continues to do one thing after another, and is continuing to blame others for what's happening. Sad state of affairs. Person who's choosing loneliness and blaming others for it. Emmett Fox, in his book Around the Year with Emmett Fox, a book of daily readings, says that the key to life is to build in the mental equivalence of what you want and to expunge the equivalence of what you do not want. Okay, the word "want" is in there twice. How does the Course say it? Do only this. We'll come to that. Do only that. You build in the mental equivalence by thinking with clearness or definiteness and interest. And that is, it's one thing for me to say, oh, what's the Course say? I want this, to want the peace of God, to say it is one thing, but to mean it is something else. To say it, I can talk all the stuff I want. And if I'm talking trash or not. Because nothing that I'm doing reflects what I'm saying. For years, I've talked about how I want to be more consistent and I want to blah, 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 and I want to this and I want, and wasn't doing a thing about it. I can't tell you how many journals I have written and how many workshops I've attended, and I kept writing the same thing over and over again. The words slightly different, but I've been saying the same thing for years. Now, let me go back here. It took seeing the problem in my behavior, seeing the problem, to then look at and realize that it was coming from my thinking. The book Atomic Habits, which I didn't quote here today, Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about how we tend to think that if I just do this differently, I'll be a different somebody. I'll be, if I start exercising, I'll get healthy. If I eat right, I will. We tend to think that way because we're human doings. The human doing thinks that I have to do something to be something, that I have to do something human to be spiritual. I have to come here every Thursday and say, oh, okay, Lynn, I'll take the extra half hour, and thinking, oh, I shouldn't do that. No, I'm happy to do it. Thank you very much. Thinking that if I do something, that you're going to like me more, or that I'm going to like me more, or that I'm going to be a better person, or I'm going to get accolades. If I die today, they're going to say wonderful things about me because I did this and I did that and I did the other. But those of us who know today that what we do comes from what we think, if those accolades were to come, and that's not necessary because it doesn't matter, it would be, I know how Zulma thought. She thought this way, and I can take that and put it in my toolbox. I remember when Zulma didn't believe this, or she said that, but she did this other thing. I remember when Zulma talked about yeah, how angry she was, and said that she had let it go, and then came back and talked about it again. I remember when she did that. But what I do comes from what I think. All right, I'll continue. How are you going to expunge the wrong mental equivalence? Suppose you have a mental equivalent of resentment or an unemployed. Oh, I didn't mean to put all that in there. The only way to expunge a wrong mental equivalent is to supply the opposite. The Course calls it the miracle. The Course calls it atoning. The right thought automatically expunges the wrong thought. If you say, I'm not going to think resentment anymore, what are you thinking about except resentment? You know how we say, oh, don't forget to, what you mean is remember to. I think that came up the other day. Remember to remember. You want to say what you want, not what you don't want. The key to the management. Okay, so if you say, I'm not going to think about resentment anymore, what are you thinking about except resentment? Don't think about that pink elephant. Don't think about the pink elephant. The key to the management of your thinking, and therefore the key to the management of your destiny, is to substitute, atone, unlearn an affirmative thought for a negative thought. And notice it doesn't say positive thought. It's not saying positive and negative. It's saying affirmative and negative. To affirm, to state as so. To state as so. I am focused. I am organized. I am consistent. I am that. Not I'm going to be. It's what I'm going to do. No, it's what I am. And that's what James Clear, which I was starting to say and stop saying, in his book Atomic Thoughts, he says you don't go from doing to feeling to being. You go from being, I am that, from the I am that, and begin to see myself as that, to imagine myself as that, to have the desire as to be that. And with that comes all this feeling. And from that feeling comes a willingness. Now, the willingness, do I do it? Do I do it or do I don't? But I'm willing to do it. And the decision to then do it, to change what I'm doing, but not for the change of what I'm doing, but because I've changed how I think. When I changed my mind about my mother, I started acting differently. And it wasn't, it wasn't like, oh, I wasn't just trying to be nice to mommy. No. I was thinking about mommy being nice. I became the conduit for peace. I was the peace. And because I was the peace, I was extending peace. And because I was extending peace, mommy at first was quite curious what the heck is going on here. But she started feeling the peace. And as a result of her feeling the peace, she too became peaceful. And our relationship became peaceful. And there's a song that we sing at the center of peace sometimes. It goes, I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. But that started with I. I don't love you. I don't love you so that you can love me. That's not why. I'm not doing it for you. That's manipulation. That is manipulation. Yes. Yes, Karen, thank you. Seek not to change the world, but change your mind about the world. And workbook lesson 23 says something like that. In lesson 23, can I put my hand on that real quickly? Let's see. In workbook lesson 23, thank you for that, Karen. That was perfect. Go to lesson 23. In lesson 23, it says, every thought you have makes up some segment of the world you see. If the cause, there is no point in paragraph 2. There is no point, lesson 23. There is no point in trying to change the world. It is incapable of change because it is merely an effect. But there is indeed a point in changing your thoughts about the world. And here you are changing the cause. The effect will change automatically. So the relationship with mommy became wonderful because I chose to think differently. And as a result of how I chose to think, I chose to feel differently. And as a result of me choosing to feel differently, I chose to behave differently. What we do comes from what we think. There's no getting around that. Joel Goldsmith, in his book Living Now, wrote, people can be given liberty, but no power on earth can make them keep it. He wrote, freedom cannot be given to everyone. I thought this was interesting. Freedom cannot be given to everyone because everyone is not ready to accept it. And that's true. That's true. In the days when slavery was legal, when slavery was abolished, the first and second time, in 1865, when it was officially abolished, but even then, when the Emancipation Proclamation came to be, there were people who, despite the fact that they were told that they were free to go, they didn't. They didn't know how to live freely. They didn't know that. They had no clue. The course even talks about that. It reads, prisoners, talks about prisoners. Where is that? In chapter 20, section 3, it says that prisoners bound with heavy chains for years, starved and emaciated, weak and exhausted, and with eyes so long cast down in darkness that they don't remember the light, do not leap for joy, do not leap up in joy the instant they are made free. It just doesn't happen that way. It takes time. It takes a while, it continues, for them to understand what freedom is. So Joel Goldsmith says, freedom cannot be given to everyone because everyone is not ready to accept it. But it can be given to everyone spiritually and silently. And those who are ready for it will respond to it. And it's interesting, as I'm reading that spiritually, it's written in the Bible that Jesus said that God is spirit. and they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth. So freedom can be given to everyone spiritually and silently. Those who are not ready for it will have to go on for a while. All this that I've been talking for the last hour, I talked it 10 years ago. Did I always practice it? Nope. There are times, I'd get here and, come here and walk away and, read a lesson. What was that? I don't remember. Those who are not ready for it will have to go on for a while, but it's not your concern what they do. Your concern is what you do. Hello, family. There are two kinds of business. Write it down. My business and none of my business. My business and none of my business. When I turn on the television, there's my business and none of my business. When I'm walking, when I'm driving, my business and none of my business. I laugh when when a car cuts me off. I really do. I say, oh, they must really have to go to the bathroom badly. They have to go. They need to get there before. They need to get where they're going before I get where I'm going. I know where they're headed. And I give myself a chuckle. And I let it go. I let it go. I see Karen's hand. Go ahead, love.
I love that. I remember that too. And I said, well, they must have to go to the bathroom. I don't get mad either. But what I wanted to share is I love what you're talking about here. And these conditioned beliefs and behaviors, that's why I love how you continually teach and demonstrate the how important it is to train our minds, because this is an undoing and an unlearning, and it takes a lot of practice and a lot of vigilance and a lot of mind training. I want to give a kind of a funny example. My daughter, she went through a stage where she was very difficult to handle. So I put her in boot camp for 3 months, and I went to visit her with my sister and my mom, and she was in her, military outfit, and she came up to us, and when she saw us, she did the salute to us. It was a learned behavior, and she was only there like a couple weeks, if that. And I think it was after 2 weeks we could visit her. And oh my God, then she just broke down and started crying, and we gave her a hug. It was just like she was so conditioned. They are so rough on her. And so I thought to myself, wow, this is us. We're all conditioned in our behavior and how we think and how we act and all of that. And all of that needs to be unlearned. And she was just like this little soldier, she saluted us like we were her superior, because that's what she learned. So I still think of that, and I think of how we're all like that and we're all undoing. So thank you for your teaching. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was good. Yeah, we're conditioned. Don Miguel Ruiz in the book, The Four Agreements, he refers to us as being domesticated. We are domesticated. Domesticated. And that domestication, we actually do what we're taught. We do what or not, or we rebel. But even that rebelliousness becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. And I can't tell you how many times that, the habit. Oh no, well, that authority figure reminded me of my mother. So therefore that kind of thing. The habit. Sharon, was your hand raised, or was that I love, I saw the heart. Saw your hand and I saw a heart. Okay, I'm going to take it as a heart. All right.
Why it was a heart.
Thank you,
It was a
love.
heart.
Karen wrote in the chat, if there is peace within, I will extend peace. Okay, there you go. Without. And if there's conflict within, I'll project conflict without. Absolutely. Absolutely. The new reality. Yeah. I'm extending love or projecting fear. I'm responsible for what I see. I am the dreamer of the dream. I am the decision maker. Absolutely. It's all me. It's all me. Cheryl Valentine in her book. Oh my God, it's me. It's not you. It's all how I see you. It's not you. It's not what I think about. It's not you. It's what I think about you. It's never you. That's why I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm never upset for the reason I think, because I think that something outside of me is the reason why I'm upset. It's my thinking that is causing how I'm feeling, which is then causing how I'm acting. This whole law of cause and effect. But cause and effect are one. Cause and effect are one. And when I recognize that I am cause, the small c, when I recognize that I am the cause of why my life is the way it is, I realize that I can change it. And here's the word, I realize it. I make it real. Now we're back to thinking about it differently and imagining it, and how if I want to master my life, I have to be willing to recognize that I am responsible for my life. All right, I'll go on. I'll go on. Back to share. And Joel Goldsmith continues. If you hold on to, okay, it's not your concern what others do, what your concern is what you do. If you hold anyone in bondage, if you keep people on the hook, if you hold in a grudge, if you hold anyone in bondage, you have bound yourself. He writes to the law of karma, same thing. But we think, oh yeah, you reap what you sow, and I'm gonna pay you back, and all that. You have bound yourself. When I am, in order to keep you in prison, I have to stay there. If I'm the jailer, I have to stay there at the jail to keep you in prison. Or carry these keys around and constantly be worrying about not losing the keys and holding on to the keys, and thinking about the fact that these keys are the reason why, that I have you imprisoned. I am imprisoning myself. I am denying myself the joy of now. I'm worrying about what you did, and because you did this, a week ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, because you did that, I have to keep you on the hook. I have to stay there with you. I have to have the hook. I have to hold the grudge. And if I open my hands in truth, it's not there. If you hold anyone in bondage, you have bound yourself. If you set him free, you have set yourself free, because there is only one capital S self. What you do to another returns unto you. The bread that you cast upon the waters comes back to you. I'm going to drop screen for a minute. And I was reading. I gave you Emmett Fox already. Oh, and the four agreements. We're talking about domestication. The gentleman who wrote that, Don Miguel Ruiz. And when he's talking about the first agreement is don't take anything personally. And he writes, you eat others' emotional garbage. Okay, so let's start with you think highly of me, and I appreciate that. I do. And but today I said something that you didn't like, and you took it personally. Oh man, that Zulma, I really thought that oh man, I never expected her to. Expectations are illusions. Let's go there, okay? Uh, but you had a thought about how I was yesterday. It says you eat all their emotional garbage and now it becomes your garbage. But if you do not take it personally, you are immune in the middle of hell. Immunity to poison in the middle of hell is the gift of the agreement. Don't take anything personally. He writes, when you take things personally, in fact, I can put it on the screen. You can read this with me. I don't see why you can't read this with me. He writes, okay, now I can't see it. Oops. When you take things personally, then you feel offended. And your reaction, what you do is to defend your beliefs and create conflicts. What do you mean? The fundamental Christian comes up to you and says something that you think it's not according to the course. They tell you that you're going to hell for what you believe. And now you're upset. How dare they judge me? And then you lash and you feel offended, and your reaction is to defend your beliefs and create conflicts. You are creating the conflicts. You make something big out of something so little because you have the need to be right and make everyone else wrong. What was it? Do you want to be right or happy? You also try hard to be right by giving them your own opinions. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What makes me think that, first of all, I'm giving a lot of value to what they think. I'm valuing what they think to the point where I think I have to defend it. I'm upset. How dare you say that? I am placing a whole lot of value on their thing and not placing enough value on my own. Because if I was convinced of what I am and of what I believe or what I believe I know, if I was convinced, there's nothing that you can say. It makes me chuckle. I may think of something I want to say, but it's not, what's the point? But what the point is, I think I have to be right and make everybody else wrong. You also try to be right by giving them your own opinions in the same way. Whatever you feel and do is just a projection of your own personal dream, a reflection of your own agreements. These are the things that we grew up with, these habits that Karen was just using an example. What I grew up with, the way I was taught, what I think is right. Because my mama said it, because my daddy said it, because my grandmother, definitely what my grandmother said. Everything my grandmother said had to be right. Even though your grandmother said something different. But no. No. You have to pray the rosary. All right. And for those who do, I'm not speaking against those who pray the rosary. It's the rosary, I understand today, is repetition. It's repetition. It's a repetition of what of the belief of the Catholic faith. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. And it's a repetition, but unfortunately, people just repeat the words. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Granted, if the story, that Mary was a virgin and she had Jesus, if you believe that story, then absolutely that prayer is an important prayer, at least the first part of it to me. Because if you believe that, then yeah, Mary was given a high a high honor to be able to do that. If you believe that. And if you don't, that's another story. Go ahead, Karen.
I love this book, The Four Agreements, and I love this, taking things personally section. And according to the course, when we're taking it personally, we're taking it seriously. We're taking it seriously, we're making it real, And by making it real, we're allowing it to have an effect on us, which is allowing it to destroy our peace. And that is what I've been working on these days, is not allowing anything outside of my mind to destroy my peace and noticing when it does, noticing when it does. But the one thing I wanted to share, what you're sharing about behaviors and everything, something that I noticed for me that really changed in a good way was dealing with death, because I know we've talked about this before with grieving and how you grieved your mom and how I grieved my husband, and how it was horrible. It's horrible. But I was actually brought up that way and taught that, like you were just saying. I was taught that grieving is what you do. And so I just remember even taking my granddaughter to church to service and just crying my eyes out during the service. And she saw that. That's what she learned from me. I was teaching her that, I didn't think about that at the time. But what I'm saying is that now I've changed my mind about grieving. And yes, I still grieve, but there's a difference. There's a difference in the grieving, and there's not the attachment that used to be there. And there's more of a happiness and a joy that comes with knowing that death is not to be feared, and death is just a continuation. It's not an end. And that I am happy for this person who passed. I am happy for them. I'm happy for their resurrection, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just so grateful for that. So you just help me to really just remember that and think of that. So thanks.
Thank you, loved one. Thank you. Yes. Yes. The joy of being able to see things different. The joy of recognizing that we have choice. Oh my God. You mean I don't have to keep doing this? And wait now, especially when it comes to physical death. I don't have to keep thinking and feeling this way, and I don't have to be guilty. I don't have to feel guilty about it. Because I remember, the first day. I remember the first day that I didn't think about mommy all day. What lovable? You all right, big boy? Later. Um, that the as the day came to an end, I freaked out. Oh my God! It's as if like I threw her away. Yeah, I'm not supposed to not think of mommy every day. After all, we established this wonderful relationship, and now, and I have to continue that. The wonderful relationship continues. It continues. I bring mommy up. I talk. I laugh. I look at pictures. It's just a wonderful thing. It's just a wonderful thing. But I don't have to feel guilty if I go through a whole hour and a half here and I don't mention mommy. It wasn't. I don't even. That's not even the intention. It's not on any of the slides. It wasn't. It does. It just. But when I think love, it just comes up that way. But I don't have to feel guilty if I don't. I understand that today. There's today, as Mary Morrissey says, is a brand new baby day. It's a brand new baby day. And in this brand new baby day, we get to think and do and be brand new babies. Here we go. Let's continue with this. Um, uh, 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 it's not important to me what you think about me. It's not important to me what you think about me, and I don't take what you think personally. I don't take it personally when people say, Miguel, this is the writer of the book. Miguel, I think you're the best. And I also don't take it personally when they say, Miguel, you're the worst. I know that when you're happy, you will tell me, oh, you're such an angel. But when you're mad, you'll tell me, oh, you are such a devil. You are so disgusting. How can you say those things? Either way, it does not affect me because I know what I am. That's what made me grab this piece. I know what I am. I I don't have the need to be accepted by you because my worth is established by God. what I do and what I say and what I think and even what I believe doesn't matter. My worth is I don't need any of that to be worthy. I am worthy. I don't have the need to have someone tell me, oh, you're doing so good, or how dare you do that. Either way, no, I don't take it personally. He says, whatever you think, whatever you feel, I know is your problem and not my problem. That's huge for some people. They take it personally. They attach themselves to it. They let themselves suffer from it. And then they want to blame you. I want to blame you because you didn't tell me, how well I did or how good I looked or how whatever. Whatever. Whatever you think, whatever you feel is your problem, not my problem. It's the way you see the world. It's nothing personal because you are dealing with yourself, not with me. And I remember a time when I didn't understand that. I did not. In the course where it says, um, where it says, in chapter 13. Wait a minute, I didn't mean to do that. I did something I didn't mean to do yet. In chapter 13, section 4, where it talks about that I'm seeing you from my past. I didn't understand that for a long time. I didn't understand that. Everything else, I grabbed that because that's where it grabbed me from section 4 in the function of time, chapter 13. But that line, that particular sentence that I would be seeing you from my past. I didn't get that. I couldn't see at that time how I wasn't seeing you from your past. But once I realized that it's my past, my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs, I am responsible. Once I was able to get that, everything changed. Everything changed. The last thing I want to read is from Dr. Ernest. This is from his book, 365, A Year of Daily Wisdom. He writes, oh boy, okay, lost it just that fast. Here we go. He writes, I've got 4 minutes. I give form to the invisible. Let your light shine. Let your light shine before men, that they shall see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. In other words, what you do is coming from what you think. First of all, if the thoughts first, you're letting your light shine. That's a behavior. That's a behavior. Okay. Life at the center of your being is a silent power, capital P. Physical facts, form, and conditions are no obstruction to this power. It flows through them and takes a new form in them. It remolds them. That which makes can remake. What do we say? Well, what we learn, we can unlearn. That which molds can remold. What do we call that? Atoning, undoing. That which creates can recreate. Remember, what you see comes from what you do not see. The visible is the invisible made manifest. It is, which of course, that is behavior comes from thoughts. It is the invisible caught in temporary form. Every time you think, you are giving form to this invisible power. Remember that the mind never stops. The question arises whether any limit can be placed upon the possibility of the conscious use of spiritual power. Theoretically, it would seem impossible to place such a limit. The only limitation would be that which proceeds from lack of belief or understanding, which in the course, that would just be the separation. Believing in any kind of lack, that's belief in the separation. The spirit itself must be ever present with us. That is, we know that the spirit is there. We need to remember to remember. Engage. The spirit itself must be ever present with us. If we could strip our mind of fear, superstition, and all sense of separation from this divine presence, approaching it quite simply and directly, we would probably be surprised at the results that would follow. In using spiritual law, the one having the greatest faith obtains the best results. And people talk about that as far as prayer. Oh, my prayer wasn't answered. I wasn't even sure it would be, because I don't know, God, the one having the greatest faith obtains the best results. And it doesn't have to be a bodily thing. We keep looking at form. We keep thinking, oh, the parking spot that's there for me. I always find a parking spot, that kind of thing. And by the way, on Fridays now, people leave the spot right in front of my client's house, right there, open for me. I didn't even know they knew me till one day the gentleman said to me, "Oh, you have a new car." I didn't even know he knew that I had the old car. I am surrounded by a spiritual presence that responds to my word. Today, I take charge of my thinking. Thank you, God. Knowing that the divine appears to each only as a measure of his own imagination. Imagine this. See it, see it, see it. I enlarge the concept I present to it for fulfillment. I wait calmly and expectantly for new and greater experiences to come to me. Why? Because what I do comes from what I think and feel. So the question of what I'm doing comes from what I am thinking. We train daily. We train daily. We train daily. An untrained mind accomplishes nothing. And with that, thank you, family, for being here. Thank you, Karen, for your contributions. Thank you for the things in the chat. Appreciate you. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. I have to take Lovable for a walk, but I'll be listening on the phone. And Lynn, here's the mic.
Thank you so much, Zulma. What a wonderful sharing, and so grateful. You can definitely fill up 90 minutes.